बोलिए वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय। वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय। श्रीमद् सद्गुरु सरकार की जय। प्रथमं सद्गुरुं वन्दे श्री कृष्णं तदनन्तरं गुरुः पापात्मनां त्राता श्री कृष्णस्त्वमलात्मनाम् व्याधस्याचरणं ध्रुवस्य च वयो विद्या गजेन्द्रस्य का कुब्जायाः किमुनामरूपमधिकं किं तत्सुदाम्नो धनम् वंशः को विदुरस्य यादवपते रुग्रस्य किं पौरुषं भक्त्या तुष्यति केवलं न च गुणैर्भक्तिप्रियो माधवः। नमः कमलना भाय नमः कमलमालिने नमः कमलपादाय नमस्ते कमलेक्षण यो ब्रह्माणं विदधाति पूर्वं यो वै वेदांश्च प्रहिणोति तस्मै तद्वं हा देवमात्मबुद्धिप्रकाशं मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये। Eternally divine souls, let's chant for 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes before I resume the topic of the essence of the Gita. I request your full participation. Please do clap and chant after me, and mainly we do that so that we may meditate on Shri Radha and Krishna. राधे गोविंदा 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 राधे गोविंदा राधे गोविंदा 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 राधे गोविंदा राधे गोविंदा 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 राधे गोविंदा राधे गोविंदा गोविंदा Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, 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 Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, 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 Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, 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 Radhe 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 Govinda, 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 Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, 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 Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, 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 Radhe Govinda. बोलिए श्री राधा कृष्ण भगवान की जय। श्रीमद् सद्गुरु सरकार की जय। Devotional listeners, now I humbly request your full attention, and I also request that if your cell phone is on, would you kindly turn it off? Thank you. This is the third day in a series of talks on the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. In the first talk, I gave you the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita, that the Bhagavad Gita is actually Bhagavad Gita Upanishad, and how it got the name Geeta. Although the word Gita is incorrect in Sanskrit, this introduction was given. It was explained that the Bhagavad Gita is in fact the essence of all the Upanishads. The formidable knowledge contained in the Upanishads, the most useful knowledge for us contained in the Upanishads, has been condensed and given as in the form of the Bhagavad Gita, which is part of a much larger scripture called the Mahabharata Granth, which has 100,000 verses in it. Bhagavad Gita is divided into 18 chapters, and it is comprised of 700 verses, shlokas. On the first day we came to understand that Arjun, who is very confused, Arjun who is racked with guilt, Arjun who's very confused, Arjun who cannot even hold on to his bow, Gandiv, he asks Shri Krishna for guidance. He says, "Oh Krishna, I do not know what to do. I do not know the right course to take in life at this point, so you please tell me what to do." He accepts Shri Krishna as his guru, and he says, "I am your fully surrendered disciple." So from this episode, we learn the importance of the guru. The guru, one who is theoretical knower of all scriptures, who has the knowledge of all scriptures, and he has this knowledge, complete knowledge of all scriptures, because he is God realized. He is a divine being on earth. He is a pure devotee of God. He has received all the gifts from God, namely unlimited knowledge and immeasurable bliss. The guru is absolutely necessary for the seeker of truth. On the second day, which was yesterday, we learned from the Gita the basic knowledge that the guru imparts to the disciple, the knowledge of the Atma, the knowledge of the soul. We are confused. We have been eternally confused, thinking the body, the physical body, to be the self. But from the Bhagavad Gita, we learn that we are indeed the soul, not the body. We've also been going into the Upanishads because remember the Gita is condensed form of the Upanishads. So I have been giving references from the Upanishads as well. So from the Upanishads and from the Bhagavad Gita, we came to know about the soul, about who we are, what our essence is, the size of the soul, where the soul lives. This knowledge is given by the Upanishads. And now on this third day, in this third talk, I'm going to take up another very important lesson that Shri Krishna teaches to all of us in the Bhagavad Gita, and that is how to understand the mind and thereby control the mind. In the Gita, Bhagavan Shri Krishna says to Arjun, O Arjun, Trividham narakasyedam dvaram nashanam atmanah kamah krodhas tatha lobhas tasmade tatrayam tyajet. O Parth, O Arjun, desire, anger, and greed in the mind are the three gateways to hell. They're the three gateways to destruction. They're very, very damaging, very, very dangerous. Desire, anger, and greed. So give up these three. At another place in the Gita, Bhagavan Shri Krishna says, if you cannot give up three, then give up two. Kama esha krodha esha rajoguna samudbhavah mahashana mahapapma vidyenih vairinam. O Arjun, give up desire and anger. Then Shri Krishna says, if you cannot give up two, then give up just one and that will be sufficient. Vihaya kamanyah sarvan pumanscharati nispriha nirmamo nirahankara sashanti madhigacchati. Arjun, give up desire, and that should be sufficient. Just give up desire. Desire is the most damaging vice that we have. The most damaging disease, you can say, of the mind. Desire, kamana or kama. So much so that when the child devotee Prahlad was granted a boon by Narsingh Bhagwan, God in the form of half man, half lion, very unique avatar. When Prahlad was granted a boon, when Bhagwan said, my child, I am extremely pleased with you. Tell me, what may I give you? What can I give you? I want to give you something. You know, when we are happy with someone, we love someone, we want to give them some gift. So Bhagwan loves, God loves his devotees. He's saying to Prahlad, what do you want from me? I'll give you anything. Prahlad gave an amazing answer. He was a little boy, no more than 5 years of age, when this happened, when Bhagwan, Narsingh Bhagwan killed Hiranyakashipu, the demonic king and the father of Prahlad. And then he took up Prahlad in his hands and he started to dance with joy and his eyes were shedding tears. Then he asked, what can I give you? And Prahlad gave an answer that left God speechless. God was speechless after hearing the answer. He said, Yadi rasisha me kaman varan stvam varadarshabha kamanam hridya sanroham bhavatastu vrine varam. Maharaj, I want to be free from all desires. That is what I want. I want that I should never want anything. I desire that I should be desireless. Prahlad, the child devotee, says, my desires have kept me away from you. I do not want anything. I only want you. I do not want anything else. There are only two things that we could want. Besides God, we could only want two things. We could only desire two things. Bhukti and mukti. Bhukti mukti spriha yavat pishachi hridi vartate tavat bhakti sukhasyatra kathamabhyudayo bhavet. This is from a scripture called Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, which says that as long as there are two demonesses in your heart, in the form of bhukti and mukti, pleasures of Maya, if you desire the pleasures of Maya, and you desire liberation, in other words, you want to merge within Brahman. As long as you have desire for pleasures of Maya and for liberation, you cannot really become a devotee of God. But you may say, I don't want anything worldly. I don't want bhukti, I want mukti, I want liberation. However, a true devotee of God does not want anything. He must not desire anything, not even liberation. A devotee says to Shri Krishna, I don't want you to liberate me. I do not want liberation. I want bondage. Bondage to Maya? No. I want the bondage of your lotus feet. I want to always be connected to your lotus feet. I do not ask you for liberation. To desire anything is wrong. Even to desire liberation is wrong, because God will give liberation anyway. God gives liberation without asking for it. Why should we ask for liberation? So Prahlad wants neither bhukti nor mukti. Of course, he wants nothing to do with pleasures of Maya, not the pleasures of this world, neither pleasures of this world, nor the pleasures of Swargalok, the celestial region. He doesn't want bhukti, and he does not even ask for mukti. So Prahlad is very afraid of desire. Because the moment a desire is born, as soon as we get a desire in the mind, many things are disturbed within. Many things, there are four main pillars, you can say, within us. Four strong pillars. The energy of the sense organs, senses, the indriya, and the energy of the mind, the energy of the vital breath, pran, and the energy of the atma, soul. These are four main pillars inside of us, and they start shaking. They are disturbed as soon as a desire enters the mind. Not only that, but even virtues such as modesty, self-esteem, knowledge, true knowledge of scriptures, these virtues are also disturbed. They decrease as soon as we have a desire. And we have all experienced this, haven't we? That let's say you're sitting at home and you're watching TV, or you're reading something, or you're browsing the internet, and all of a sudden a desire enters your mind. I want rasgulla. And you think, where did this come from? Rasgulla? But it's midnight. Where am I going to get rasgulla from? There's no rasgulla in the fridge. There are no stores open, no shops open that I can get rasgulla from. I don't know how to make rasgulla, even though I may have the ingredients in the kitchen. But because you got that desire, you're not at peace. Earlier you were at peace. As soon as the desire entered the heart, there's no more peace. It goes out the window. I want rasgulla. I don't know how I can get rasgulla. Can I call somebody? But excuse me, it's midnight. So our desires don't let us rest. They will not allow us to live in peace. So scriptures and saints have denounced desire. Kathopanishad has said, Yada sarve pramuchyante kama yesya hridishritaha atha martyo mrito bhavatyatra brahma samashnute. If an individual gets rid of his desires, and of course material desires, not desire for God, material desires. If he gets rid of desires, then he becomes like God himself. He becomes a perfect being. There will be nothing left for him to do, no knowledge, no further knowledge for him to be had. There's no further knowledge for him to attain. My Gurudev, Jagat Guru, Shri Kripalu Ji Maharaj says, खूब तरसाया है तेरी ही ख्वाहिशों ने तुझको, खूब तरसाया है तेरी ही ख्वाहिशों ने तुझको, अब तू भी इन ख्वाहिशों को कुछ तरसती छोड़ दे. Those of you who understand will agree that these are beautiful words and even a more beautiful concept. Shri Maharaj Ji, as he is lovingly called, he says, your desires have tormented you to no end. They have not let you live in peace. So don't you think you should get even with them? They have tormented you for countless lives. Now you get even with them by not accepting them. Torment them by not accepting them. When a desire comes knocking at the door of your mind, just say, no, I don't want you. Out you go. I don't want you. I'm not opening the door. That's it. Just as desires have tormented you, you should get even and torment them by not accepting them. So in the Bhagavad Gita, from the Bhagavad Gita, we learn that desire is very dangerous. And desire gives rise to anger and greed. Remember, Shri Krishna had said, Kama, Krodha, Kama, Krodha, Tatha Lobhas, Tasma, Detat, Trayam Tejet. He says desire, anger, and greed are very, very dangerous. They are the three gateways to hell. But what about anger and what about greed? Why talk only about desire? It is because as long as there are desires in the mind, there will be anger and greed in the mind also. But how so? If the desire is not fulfilled, if you don't get what you want, what becomes of you? You become angry, frustrated. Why can't I have this? Why does this fellow have it and I can't have it? Anger comes about. And if you do get what you want, are you at peace? Maybe for a very little time, short time, but after that, greed sets in. What I have is good, but it's not so good. What I have is not enough. We look at others and we think they have more than I do, so we're not satisfied. Greed sets in. A fellow who's living in a village in India, he is so poor that he doesn't even have a bicycle. And for him, the bicycle is not a vehicle of recreation. It is a vehicle that he needs. It's for utility. He will go to work on this. It's his vehicle. So he badly needs it. And then he ends up saving enough money to get a bicycle. And he goes around showing it to his friends and family members. I just bought a bicycle. It costs 500 rupees or 1,000 rupees, whatever it is. He tells people, he's very proud of it. He's very happy with it until he sees somebody with a motorcycle. And he thinks his bicycle, it's just not fast enough. It takes too much effort. And I have to work so hard to keep the bicycle going. I wish I could have a motorcycle. Now he ends up saving enough money for a motorbike. Then he moves to the city and then he sees the cars. And one day, it's a rainy day, and he's riding his motorcycle to work. And then there was a big puddle over there. A car comes, splashes a lot of mud on him. And he gets really angry. And he thinks, that's it. I also want a car. He wants a car. So one day he gets a car. And then he's very, very happy. That's it. That's all I want. Until he thinks, I should have a better car. Where will this end? It does not. It does not end. If we don't suppress our desires, they will torment us. And these desires are so dangerous that even one desire is quite sufficient to put an end to life. For instance, a deer. The deer is an animal that is very fond of hearing musical sound. So the hunter knows this weakness of the deer. Knowing about this desire that the deer has, the hunter lays a trap, and the desire for sound leads the deer to its death. The honeybee succumbs to its desire for fragrance. The moth falls victim to the flame. The fish gets caught in the hook because of its desire for taste. And the elephant meets its end. The hunter lays a trap for the elephant, and the elephant meets its end, trying to satisfy its desire for the cool touch of the mud. Just one desire is sufficient to destroy these animals, to put an end to their lives. And we humans, we have 5 desires all in all. They're tormenting us. They all want to be satisfied all at once. It's not like they're polite and say, I'll take my turn, you go first. All the desires. I want to see, look at the world, see as many beautiful things as you can. And no, I want to hear the sounds, the desire for sound. I want to hear the most beautiful sounds. I want to taste delicacies. I want to touch the softest things. So we have 5 desires, and they all want to be satisfied all at once. So we are in fact in a pitiable state. Many people say, I have this, I want ice cream right now. So I may as well just go and eat ice cream. I want donuts right now. I may as well go and eat a couple of donuts. I may as well get rid of this desire. Many people think that by satisfying the desire, we can get rid of them. But think about it. We have eaten ice cream countless times in countless previous lifetimes, and hundreds or thousands of times in this lifetime. We did not get rid of the desire to eat ice cream, did we? We did not get rid of the desire for chocolate or donuts, did we? We did not. Because the more we feed our desires, the more they increase. They increase. It's like there's a flame, there's a fire, and you put fuel into it. It's going to burn even brighter. The way to deal with desire is to suppress it, to deny it, to reject it, torment it. That is what Bhagavad Gita teaches us. In the Gita, Lord Krishna goes further, and he says, I will tell you why desires are born in the mind in the first place. Let's analyze this. Lord Krishna inspires us, encourages us, and tells us to analyze this desire. Why do we desire anything in the first place? He gives us the answer by saying, Sangat sanjayate kama. The philosophy of the Gita, the knowledge contained in it is formidable. Because you see, we live our lives, we have many desires, and we never think, why do I have these desires? We just go with the flow. But the Gita tells us why we have desires in the first place. It's like a very good doctor who tries to go to the root of the disease. He doesn't just try to mask the symptoms. He tries to go to the root of the disease. Like allopathic medicine, it tries to mask the symptoms. But homeopathic medicine, it tries to go to the root of the disease. Why is this discomfort in the body? What caused this discomfort? So a homeopathic doctor, if you go to him or her, that doctor will ask you many questions, because that doctor, physician, is trying to get to the root of the disease, not simply trying to mask the symptoms of the disease. So why desire? Sri Krishna says in one word, He says attachment. Sangat sanjayate kamaha. Attachment leads to desire. If you have a strong desire, if you have a desire for an object or a person, then think about it. Why do you have that desire, strong desire? If you have if you have an addiction, let's say, if someone has an addiction, then why that addiction? That addiction may be to tea or coffee or cigarette or alcohol. Why? Why that addiction? Why that strong desire for these things? It's because of attachment. That person became attached to these things because he ate that, he drank it, or he smoked it many times, and attachment came about. If you are attached to a person, why? If you rather desire to be with a person, I want to see my child, or I want to embrace my child, I want to spend time with my sister or my brother or my friend. Why that desire? Because of attachment. Anywhere where there is desire, there has to be attachment. If there's no attachment, there's no desire to see that person, to hear the sounds of that person, the voice of that person. There's no desire to be with that person. No desire to embrace that person. Nothing. But if there is attachment, there's great desire. A mother loves her child. She has a great desire for her child because she's attached to him. And you know, desire, we don't always desire a person who is necessarily beautiful, very good looking, very well behaved. That child of this mother, he may not be very well behaved at all. He may not be good looking in the eyes of the world, but to her, to the mother, the child is the most beautiful, the child is the best child. So she has a great attachment to the child. Therefore, she desires her child. She puts her mouth on the mouth of her little child. And someone who is looking on is disgusted. Ugh, that's gross. But the mother, she says, oh, there's fragrance coming from my child. She actually thinks that, she actually inhales fragrance coming from her child. And another person will say, oh, this child stinks. The child needs to be bathed. The child needs to be cleaned and washed. And the mother thinks, what are you talking about? She's actually receiving, inhaling fragrance from her child. She's not at all disgusted. It's the opposite. Once Akbar said to Birbal, I want you to find out the most beautiful child in my kingdom. And Birbal asked for a month's time, and he went all around, all over. And at the end of the month, he came up with a beggar woman and her sickly looking child. And he said, Maharaj, I have found out the most beautiful child in the kingdom. Here he is. Akbar said, this is the most beautiful child in my kingdom? And Akbar was incredulous. What's happened? Has Birbal lost his eyesight? Is his eyesight weak? And he called him and said, what are you thinking? This is not the most beautiful child. This child is not at all beautiful. Birbal said, Maharaj, all I know is this. When I saw this woman, she was kissing and caressing her child, and she was saying, Beta, my Raja, you are the most beautiful child in the world. So Maharaj, this is not only the most beautiful child in your kingdom, he is the most beautiful child in the world. In other words, how do I determine who is the most beautiful child in your kingdom? Because beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. What does that mean? It means if you're attached to someone, that person will look beautiful to you. That person will look beautiful to you. And if there's an addiction, then that object will seem very desirable, like alcohol. An alcoholic, he's suffering physically because of his addiction to alcohol. His wife is so upset with him. She cries every day. She cannot get him to quit. He has no desire to quit. His children are miserable but he says, I can give up my family, but I cannot give up the bottle. To this man, the alcohol is so desirable because he has become attached to it, addicted to it. So wherever there's an addiction or an attachment, wherever there's a desire, I should say, there is an addiction or attachment behind it. Attachment leads to desire. Sanghat sanjayate kamaha. Now, we should try to find out, why do we have attachments in the first place? Why do we become attached to people and objects? Again, Shri Krishna tells us in the Geeta, Dhyayato vishayan punsah. Dhyayato vishayan punsah. By repeatedly thinking that a certain person will give me happiness, we become attached to that person. Simply by thinking again and again, but you have to think again and again, again and again, she's going to make me happy. He is going to give me lots of happiness. By thinking this again and again, we become attached to people. By thinking of an object as a source of happiness to us, we definitely become attached to that object or addicted, as the case may be. We think again and again, this will make me happy. No one is born an alcoholic. No one is born a chain smoker. No one is born a tea drinker. A newborn child doesn't fuss and cry when the mother gives it her milk to drink. It's not as if the child is saying, I want tea, mujhe chai chahiye, latte chahiye, ye chahiye, wo chahiye. No, the child doesn't ask for tea or coffee or nothing. Nobody's born a tea drinker or a coffee drinker or an alcoholic or chain smoker, or there's no addiction. But as time goes on, as we become older, we look at others and we think, that guy looks very sophisticated. He's holding a cigarette in his hand. Looks very cool. And so this one, copycat, he just copies the other child. And so he starts smoking, but he says, this is nasty. Throws it away. But then he says, no, but I want to look cool. Then he starts smoking it. Any addiction, it starts like this. Someone told me that there was no question. He said, there was no question I was going to smoke or drink. And I did not. For many years. And then I went to college and everything changed. All the boys around me, they were smoking and drinking, and they made fun of me, like, you don't smoke, you don't drink. This is the culture over here. And nowadays, well, that was a while ago, now it's drugs. So it's the culture. I mean, don't you want to belong? So it's very dangerous, but that's what happens. I want to be part of this group. I want to look cool. I want to be looking good in the eyes of others. Whatever it is, when we think again and again that something or someone is going to make us happy, we gradually become attached. Then we become desirous of those things and of those people. There is an expression, and it's called falling in love with someone. I fell in love with so-and-so. So I think about this. It's such a curious statement, I fell in love with so-and-so. It just sounds like to me like, I was going somewhere and I tripped and I fell in love. What does that mean, I fell in love? No, suddenly it just happened. Suddenly I fell in love. No, it doesn't happen like that at all. Even if it's very quick, what's happening is we look at a person and maybe it's very, very quick. Maybe at first sight, this person is going to make me happy. But it happens more often than not, it happens gradually. This person, I think this person will make me happy. I think she'll make me very happy. I think, this is the man of my dreams. This is my dream girl. And again thinking like this makes us feel makes the mind attached, and then desire comes in. So this wonderful sequence has been disclosed by Bhagavan Shri Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Now, we can read the Bhagavad Gita again and again, and remember, the Bhagavad Gita is the essence of the Upanishads. We can read the Upanishads again and again. But we will not derive at these conclusions so easily. We cannot understand so easily that, oh, Lord Krishna says, all right, first it starts with repeated thinking, there's happiness in him, in her, or them, or in this thing. Then attachment comes, then desire comes. We are not capable of understanding all this by just reading the Gita. So how can we understand this? Well, I go back to the first lesson, that we need a guru, a divine teacher. We need to learn math. There are many students sitting here. Can you raise your hand if you're a student? Okay. Many students sitting here. And actually, we are all students in this University of Life, but I mean, college or school. There are a lot of students here. To learn math, you have a math teacher to teach you math. You learn geography from a geography teacher. You learn English from an English teacher. You learn any subject from a teacher who is an expert in that subject. You learn piano from a piano teacher. You learn dance from a dance teacher. So you learn about the scriptures from a divine teacher. Someone who is proficient in the scriptures, one who is Shrotriyam, and that is a guru. The guru is a divine teacher. He is not of this world. There's nothing worldly inside the guru. There is no Maya. He has gone beyond Maya. We are controlled by Maya. We are Maya-dhin. We are controlled by Maya. He's Mayatit. He has gone beyond Maya. Maya cannot torment him anymore. He has become godly. Because he has surrendered fully to God, God has given to the guru, whom we call the guru, God has given to the surrendered soul all the knowledge that God has. And God has unlimited knowledge. It's only the guru who can give us, who can tell us what is in the Bhagavad Gita. There was once a lot of people read the Gita, they discuss the Gita, they take each and every verse apart, they dissect each and every verse. There are many commentaries they read on the Gita. But my Gurudev tells us a story, true story, about a man who lived 500 years ago. And he was the disciple of Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Lord Chaitanya. This man was illiterate, and he would keep the Bhagavad Gita in front of him. But he didn't know how to read. Sometimes the Gita would be upside down. And there's some scholars who saw him. And they looked at him and they discussed it amongst themselves. This man is an imposter. He doesn't know how to read. What business does he have keeping the Gita in front of him? Well, they marched up to his guru, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, who was actually Shri Radha and Krishna, both of them in one form. Bhitar Sham Gaur Baharate. He was the fair complexioned Radha externally. He was very fair of color. Internally, he was a dark complexioned Krishna. Gauranga Mahaprabhu, God on earth, but he played the role of the guru. So they marched on up to his guru and they said, Maharaj, this disciple of yours, he doesn't know how to read and write. Why does he keep the Gita in front of him? Mahaprabhuji smiled knowingly, but called this disciple over and said, why do you keep the Gita in front of you when you don't know how to read or write? And this simple-hearted man said, Maharajji, I don't know how to read, true, but I like to keep the Gita in front of me because it makes me think about Shri Krishna, who is driving the chariot for Arjun, and Arjun is sitting on the chariot, and Shri Krishna is saying something, and Arjun is listening to him. And I find this scene to be so beautiful that tears come into my eyes. I start to cry my heart becomes heavy. And I love thinking about Shri Krishna. That's why I keep the Gita in front of me. But if you say it's a mistake, then I will no longer keep it in front of me. Mahaprabhuji said, no. You keep on doing what you're doing. You're doing the right thing. And then he scolded the scholars and he said, you people have been reading the Gita for how many years? Some said 10 years, some said 15, some said 20. For all these years you've been reading the Gita. Now tell me, how many tears have you shed for Shri Krishna? They said, we don't shed tears. We don't cry for him. Then you haven't understood the Gita. You are just merely reading the words. Is the Gita there for you just to read and to memorize? So many people love to memorize the verses of the Gita. It's not a bad thing, but we have to go beyond memorizing the verses. So many people wish to learn Sanskrit just so that they could memorize the shlokas. But what is the point in memorizing them if we don't know the meaning, true meaning? And the true meaning of the Bhagavad Gita, we cannot understand it by ourselves. We don't have the divine intellect to understand the divine words of the divine Vedavyas who composed this Gita. He recorded the words of Arjun, who's asking the questions, and Shri Krishna, who's answering the questions. He was Bhagwan, he was God on earth, and he wrote the Bhagavad Gita. How can we understand the divine words of a divine being who composed this divine scripture? So the only way to understand the Bhagavad Gita is through a qualified teacher, a divine teacher. And so these talks on the Gita are coming not from my mind, but from the divine mind of Jagat Guruttam Shri Kripalu Ji Maharaj, who made Gita understandable to the world. He not only the Bhagavad Gita, his philosophy is the philosophy of all the scriptures. So my point here is that the Bhagavad Gita cannot be understood without the loving guidance of a divine teacher known as the Guru. It is only then that we understand the divine sequence in which the knowledge is given in the Gita. It's a study in logic. But by just reading it, by just reciting it, we can't understand. In fact, what happens is that if we read these scriptures, then we start having this pride. I have read the Gita, you know. I have memorized 2-3 chapters of the Gita, I'll have you know. We become very proud of having read the Gita. And in fact, we haven't understood anything. So a person who has not read the Gita then he's better off than us because we have read it and now there's pride in the heart. Idante na tapaskaya na bhaktaya kadachana na cha shushru shavevacham na cha mamyo bhyasuyati. In the Bhagavad Gita, Shri Krishna himself says, if you're not a true devotee, then do not read this Gita. If you're not a true devotee, na bhaktaya. So who is a true devotee? I think I'm a devotee. A true devotee, meaning the one whose mind does not go away from thoughts of God is a true devotee. Lavanimishadhamampi yasa Vaishnavagriha. A true devotee, a true Vaishnava is the one whose mind does not stop thinking of God for even a fraction of a moment, for even a nimish, meaning in the blinking of an eye. Even in the time, even for the time that it takes for us to blink our eyes, even for that much time, the mind does not think about the world. It does not stop thinking of God. If you're at that stage, then you are a true devotee. We are not. We are aspiring devotees. We are sadhaks. And we absolutely need the loving guidance of a true guru, genuine guru, Shrotriya Brahmanishta. So with the grace of my Gurudev, I am giving these talks on the Gita. And today's lesson for us is that when we repeatedly think of someone or something to be a source of happiness to us, then we become attached very quickly to that person or that object. Once we become attached, desires cannot be far behind. We start desiring that person or object. If our desire is fulfilled, we become satisfied for just a little while, and then greed sets in. We want more. If the desire is not fulfilled, if we don't get what we want, then we become angry. So greed and anger are two children of desire. Now, next question begs to be asked, and that is, why do we think of the world to be a source of happiness? Why would we think in the first place that there is happiness in a person or an object? That's a topic that I will take up tomorrow. बोलिए वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय। वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय। जगत गुरु श्री कृपालु जी महाराज की जय। बोलिए श्रीमद् भगवद गीतोपनिषद की जय। जय जय श्री राधे, जय जय श्री राधे, जय जय श्री